Welcome aboard another scintillating AM exclusive segment with me, Benjamin Akakbo, and today we're delving deeper into the political terrain. The man I'm about to have an interaction with is a former chairman of the New Patriotic Party, specifically between 2005 and 2010, and then later in 2016 he was actually the campaign manager for the NPP as far as the presidential and parliamentary elections were concerned. They were successful. Today, he is chairperson of the Ghana Cocoa Board. I'm talking about none other, you might have guessed already, than Peter Manu. He joins the conversation. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Okay, so now that you've ushered us in, I'd just like to find out from you to kickstart matters. When you look at Ghana today under the MPP, another electoral year, what do you see?
Well, it is good that we have a democracy that has been working for us continuously since 1992. We have made several attempts in previous times at democracy and has been truncated one way or the other. So for me, the current 1992 constitution and the multi-party democracy that has followed has done good to Ghana in the form of our way of life, our thinking, our vision, and the way we relate democratically, internally and externally. Guided by rules and regulations. That is how a civil society should behave, and we are doing just that. So I'm proud to be a Ghanaian at this point in time.
Since you mentioned the Constitution as well, I mean, we'll delve swiftly into the political issues, but some have said that, look, the 1992 Constitution is beginning to lose its relevance. Others say it is one of the best constitutions in the world. Where do you stand on it vis-a-vis the 2010 Constitutional Review Commission, and how much better we could make our country?
If you ask me about the Constitution, I can tell you that since 1992, there has been several amendments. But the critical areas of amendment that may need the collective will of Ghanaians by way of a referendum has not been achieved, because that is very difficult and it entails a lot. We managed to scrap through with the regional addition of regional
6 regions,
regional administrations onto the landscape. But those that are parliamentary related, because some of them Parliament can just enact laws to change them. We have gone through many of such. The Constitution has served us rightly, yes, because like I started the conversation with, for the last 30 years or over, we haven't had any troubles with constitutional coup. The Constitution is suspended, Parliament is dissolved, political parties are banned. We haven't had that. And it is because we are relying on a constitution. And mind you, when we say constitution, people may always think about the executive. The judiciary is doing its bit, Parliament is doing its bit, and the executive. So in its totality, the constitution, checks and balances here and there, has saved this country.
I see.
Yeah.
I may come back to other issues, but for now, let's focus on the electoral year and the Electoral Commission. There has been a lot that has been said, and even going back to the last election, there's been a lot of talk about the EC's performance up to this point. If you look at the latest activities of the EC, the district level elections, then the limited voter registration exercise, or even the registration exercise before the district level elections, for those who are going to partake in them, the district level elections, then the limited registration exercise, and now the voter transfer exercise. how do you feel the EC, the Electoral Commission, has fared?
If you have lived and voted in this country, or if you have taken part in the entire electoral process since 1992, you would agree with me that the current EC is doing well.
How so?
I have been in this country when the use of the word "tot" came into being, because at the district assembly elections, we couldn't do it simultaneously on one day. I voted then at Sekendi. I was driving to Sekendi to go and vote. Before I go to Kaswa, an announcement came that the Sekendi elections have been postponed. We have done something, and the name "tot" came into being.
This is a long time ago.
What is a long time ago?
There was a point where
but I started
we were
from,
using
opaque
electoral boxes.
That's why I'm saying from 1992 to date,
right,
we've gone far.
Right.
We've gone very far, and I have, like you mentioned at the beginning of the conversation, I have gone to many countries. I look at their system. Even last week, these Kenyans who came here, one of them is their PR for the IEBC. He came to our conference room, and I showed him a copy of our CI 127. She looked at it and said, Chairman, you have elaborate laws. That's the word, the sentence she said to me. So, well, like we said, in our own houses, we don't accept the good things. But people from outside, they really value Ghana's.
Yeah, leading to the fact that the prophet is never
accepted
in his own home.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know the bit about Oliver Twist, where there are democracies, people will always ask for more. In the United States, Trump has been tried, convicted for the first time for an American president. Some would say, I mean, this is what democracy brings. But some of the things you have mentioned, Ghana is known for having the best of laws, but when it comes to the practice, that is where it becomes a bit of a thorny issue. You say this EC is the best we've ever had. Is that what you said? Just
what I am saying is that their performance now, because the last polls on their performance I came across was from CDD. I think that was in 2020 or 2016, one of them. And the respondents scored them, I think, 65%. Yes, check from CDD records. It was the highest for any EC in this country.
I know there have been a number of surveys.
Wait, let me finish. And if you go beyond Ghana,
right,
the international observers that came to this country to observe our elections, the EU, IRI, International Republican Institute, National Democratic Institute, ECOWAS Group, African Union Group, go and look at the scores that they gave to our elections. I have copies here. So if you want to talk about EC and elections, you may go the extra mile to read about what the observers also said about them. You must, both domestic and international observers.
I mean, there are those who will tell you that for these observers, when it comes to these elections, they are pretty cautious with their assessments. And yes, they look at the barest minimums of free, fair, transparent elections. But let me pin you down to this. On what basis? Because I can look at a plethora of gaffes from this Electoral Commission. And it's not to say that any system is perfect or any team is perfect. I'll take you back to election 2020. Our election results were altered about 3 or 4 times. In the recent limited voter registration exercise, there were so many errors, numbers that did not add up, names on cards that did not add up. Things that, since you are touting this Electoral Commission, and it's not to denigrate or take away from them, but things that we didn't necessarily see under, for example, a Dr. Afarijan. So I am trying to pin you down on what makes you think this current, what it is that they've done that no other Electoral Commission has done before.
you are a media person. And for even the current Electoral Commission to bring what they call let the citizens know. Let the citizens know. They want the Ghanaians to know and ask questions. That is even one of their strongest points. And any mistake that they have made the strongest attempt to correct it. They have not allowed the mistakes to lie fallow. No, not at all. So if, and I have a book here about the recordings of the 2012 Supreme Court processes and procedures for the election petition. There were so many gaps in the what they call errors in transforming the result from one center to the other. It happens in many elections. But when you see it, you have to correct it, and that's what they did. What word do they use? To transfer it from one subsector to another, let's say from polling station to constituency or constituency to region or region to national, there are bound to be some errors. And when it is seen, it has to be corrected. It's error.
Someone would ask why those errors came to bear in the first place.
So human beings don't make errors.
I get that. I prefaced and premised my point on the fact that no institution is perfect and that human beings make errors, which then begs the question about how Dr. Afari-Gyan, for example, for certain reasons, I don't even want to bring in Charlotte to say why Dr. Afari-Gyan was able to execute, and you worked with him.
You want to tell me Afari-Gyan didn't make errors?
I'm not saying he didn't make errors. I am not saying he did not make errors, but with what technologies we have now, vis-a-vis what we had then, and what we were able to do, would you say that, honestly, comparing, we are faring so much better now?
It is not for me to say, but I'm saying the bulk of Ghanaians, when they were asked by a reputable organization, responded 65% that they have confidence in the work the EC is doing. It's not for me.
Let me just reference something from the Afro Barometer. I just had to quickly get the report dated the 7th of March 2024. It shows clearly that Ghanaians want fair and competitive elections, but mistrust the Electoral Commission. I'm reading from the CDD Ghana Afro Barometer report, dispatch number 781, dated the 7th of March 2024. And if I may just highlight a few key points. An overwhelming majority, 84% of Ghanaians, support elections as the best way of choosing our leaders. About 3 in 5 citizens, that is 62%, say elections work well to ensure that members of parliament reflect the views of the people. More than 7 in 10 Ghanaians, that is 72%, say many political parties are needed to give voters real choice, and 89% reject the principle of one-party rule. But here's where it starts getting interesting. A majority, 64% of citizens, say the 2020 election was generally free and fair. I believe that was what you were referencing. 64%. A decline compared to assessments of the 2016 election recorded in 2017.
That was 70-something.
That was 87%.
Okay.
This is a drop of about 23 percentage points in terms of Ghanaians feeling the election delivered was free and fair, 2016 to 2020. It goes on to say more than 4 in 5 respondents, that is 83%, said they had little or no fear of being a victim of political intimidation or violence during the 2020 election. How much of that has changed, we'll have to find out. But this is the final point. Only 1/3 of Ghanaians, 33%, say they trust the Electoral Commission of Ghana somewhat or a lot. The lowest trust level recorded in more than 2 decades of Afro Barometer surveys. Since you referenced them, I have to go here. What is your answer to that?
Let me tell you, and many political parties have been saying this, we have been in opposition before, and we have won elections from opposition. when we did not appoint the Electoral Commission. So our confidence is in ourselves. As a political party, our organization and management of the party and the campaign. So if anybody says the Electoral Commission is doing this for MPP, I've heard that many times, even today on your network.
Right. I
laugh because we've won 2 major elections under Afarijan. We did not appoint Afarijan. We did not appoint Charlotte Osei, but we won, and we won massively because we believe that as a party, we must strengthen our base, we must do this, we must not rely on EC for anything but the declaration of the results. So if parties think erroneously that somebody can sit in Accra Electoral Commission head office and make them winners of election in Ghana here, they are jokers.
You seem to be reflecting or echoing the exact words of Dr. Bosman Asare, a deputy.
Well, I haven't heard him, but I'm saying from my own experience that, look, when I started with the PVT, the parallel vote tabulation, that we are going to tabulate our own results, people didn't believe me, and they were questioning me from all sorts. But ultimately, when we generated our own PVT results, and we knew that we have won even without certain polling stations being declared. We were right on because
are you suggesting that elections can't be stolen? And I say this with all decorousness or decorum. I have even spoken to a founding member of your party. I'm referencing Dr. Nyahu Tamaklo, who has said that the only way you win the election is by a stolen verdict in 2024. I'm quoting him. And again, both the NDC and the MPP have been said to have engaged themselves in political machinations at some point to skew votes in their favor. Why would you have to do that if you completely trusted in the people who are voting and in the Electoral Commission? Why would you do that?
Never go and say this anywhere that we skewed or we stole elections. No.
You never have?
We never have.
I see.
Because you see, the guiding principles of global electoral management bodies is one of independence. I'm talking about guiding principles of electoral management bodies. Independence, impartiality, integrity, transparency, show of professionalism. And that's where the arithmetic comes in, that they messed up. If you showed a professionalism, those things should not come. But as human beings, we're bound to have errors. And then service-mindedness. I think that so far, the Electoral Commission of Ghana has lived up to these principles, generally speaking. And if I compare it to other, a couple of weeks ago, I was invited to Ethiopia, and the electoral assessment I made, well, I'm not supposed to come and speak on things that I have observed in other jurisdictions. The law forbids me to do that, but take it from me that Ghana's Electoral Commission is doing very well and is modernized, is cost conscious, okay, and is friendly to its major stakeholders. These IPAC meetings we conduct here, not many countries have it. Some made attempts, but they couldn't succeed. But they have been managed to,
IPAC has a long history, and we've been able to make it work.
To hold on to it up till now. So we must pride ourselves that we have an electoral management body. Like I said, I have lived under opposition before. And you are touting A, B, C, D as this and that. It's a commission, and it's an organization. It's an institution. So if the institution has graduated from 1992 up to this level, that's what we should expect. We shouldn't be expecting them to be going down the drain as a human institution. No, that should not be it. Then Ghana, we are losing it out.
And that is exactly the concern, because some people feel we shouldn't be retrogressing at this point. We should be.
Where is the retrogression?
But let me just ask you this: you have hinted that elections can't be bought, elections can't be tampered
in
with
Ghana.
In Ghana, right? That's an interesting point to make.
If the political party is worth its salt, and the good management practices, and the good organization,
like the MPP,
yes, and with good structures,
right? Why though do we see so much money in our politics? I don't. Just hold for me. Just hold for me. How much will it cost to become president in Ghana? Some estimate as much as $100 million to become an MP. But we also have something very recent, which, though it hasn't been cut incisively into, I'm talking about the Ejiso by-election and Professor Kingsley Nyako supposedly giving out lunch. Some of those things, people have said, why would there be need for that if the systems were working? What do you think? Money in our politics?
For me, I have asked various electoral commissions, from Dr. Afrejam to Mrs. Mensah,
right,
why they have not been so much interested in political party financing. Because they are in charge of political party accounts. Because every year, every election, we are supposed to send statement of our accounts to them. But I think they must give suggestions to Parliament for certain laws to be amended or reforms. For me, if you ask me, I would say we should go the South African way,
which is
proportional representation. So one, proportional representation eliminates internal party primaries. Okay? Because the party sends the list.
There's a configuration ab initio
of the list.
Right.
And I don't think prospective people who are on the list paid monies to the party headquarters before their names appeared on the list. I don't think so. But human beings as we are, remember, when President Obama won the US presidency and elevated himself from Senate seat to the presidency under the US laws, the party has the right to fill that vacancy until the next election. And the governor of the state took money from somebody and filled
that person,
which ultimately led him to jail. So if anything comes up, we have various arms of government that has to deal with them. I'm not saying as a party we cannot be found guilty. No, if we have done anything untoward, the PNDC law 284 on political parties do justice to bribery and cheating in elections.
So the MPP is fallible. That's what you're saying.
Oh, you can't do that.
No, I'm saying you're fallible. You are saying you are imperfect, which means you are not perfect. That's all I'm saying.
You have to be in a court of law. You don't. The Chicago thing I'm telling you, or even as recent as January, a Nigerian governor from Ogun State who murmured money to some voters and was caught, and he's being tried. I mean, you have to go through the entire system of justice. You don't sit comfortably in your arm here and tell somebody he's fallible. No, that's not.
Well, I'm not mentioning any individual. I'm saying
you
the party.
MPP. Yes.
I'm saying the party.
You are mentioning MPP.
You are saying that the party then is also susceptible to mistakes. That's what I'm trying to say. When I say fallible, I don't know how you are
I'm saying,
grasping it.
I'm saying that
this is what I mean.
That there are laws in this country, and I've quoted PNDC Law 284, Political Parties Act, various sections that deal with bribery, cheating and corruption in elections. So there are laws that can be enforced.
Okay.
And as we speak, some of them are being enforced by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. If you recall, a would-be district chief executive paid some monies to some assemblymen for his endorsement. And he lost. And then he went.
Are you referencing the one who actually came out and said people should pay his money back? Is that the one you are referencing? Because there was the one who also came and said, "I pay people."
The
this
matter
much.
is in
that one is in the hands of the special prosecutor.
Right. So you know.
But let's talk about some other problems. Minors getting registered. I don't know whether you feel the challenge system is working. Busing people to different centers today. We hear a lot of news about this party, that party, busing people, and the lacuna in our constitutional instruments when it comes to saying. And then there's the thorny issue of violence, which is, I wouldn't say it is creeping, it has been with us for a while. What do you make of these and how we are dealing with them?
Thank you very much. I think that the minors can be cured with the use of Ghana card. Because certainly on Ghana card, everybody has his clear date of birth on it.
Not everybody who can vote has the Ghana card. Some people will be disenfranchised.
I'm surprised when I hear these things because the numbers that come from the body entrusted to issue Ghana cards does not agree to what you are saying.
There are at least 3+ million Ghanaians who qualify for Ghana cards who don't have them as we speak. Are you aware of that?
I'm not aware. I'm not aware. What I'm aware is that people are saying 60% of the current registration went through with the guarantor system. So if we had used only Ghana card, they would have been disenfranchised. But I beg to differ. I beg to differ because people know they are not of that age. And that if they show their Ghana card, they will be caught. So they go through another system which has been provided by the CI. That is guarantor. And nobody is able to detect your age.
But agents, representatives of the MPP are also guaranteeing, and of course one person can guarantee for up to 10 people if you are caught, however, and that is if. Your people are guaranteeing. Some of them are being challenged for these. How do you react to that?
I'm not speaking on this matter. I'm speaking clearly about sanity in our voter registration system. So whether it's MPP or NDC, we have to get it right.
The solution is the Ghana card.
Yes, and stop this violence. He's not of age, and then they push him, and then ultimately violence erupts. That's not neat. It's not neat.
Speaking of these, then, CI91.
You know why South Africa, you don't hear these things there? Because during the apartheid there, all blacks were forced to have identity cards that bear their date of birth.
Right.
So nobody quarrels on, I'm going to register and no.
Right.
No.
I guess slowly we are getting there. I know that proposals are in place moving forward for the Ghana card, among others, to be. But if we had a system that were working, I don't see how a non-Ghanaian would procure a passport and be able to secure a Ghana card without being Ghanaian. But that's a conversation for another day. CI91 and CI127. Are they fit for purpose on the back of some of the challenges we are seeing currently? Take the limited voter registration exercise and developments. Take the current voter transfer exercise and matters arising.
I am happy you asked this question.
Is it fit for purpose?
Before I answer you, I would have wished that you took your time to find out what CI existed before 127. Which is the current one. That is the one that existed.
94. Okay.
And you will see certain reforms or amendments that has been done and brought this into being. Right. So you would have found that on voter transfer, certain changes have been made to the law in the 94. So it means this is fit for purpose, or at least some form of changes or amendments have been done to the existing one to make this more productive and fit for purpose.
Are the changes sufficient in the light of the
In
challenges
life
we are facing
of a human
now
being, nothing
in
becomes
2024?
sufficient in life. But as you move on, you realize the mistakes and errors and correct them by way of amendment. And I'm saying that the previous or the existing one for 2016, which I have here, CI 94,
Right.
and when it was reformed, it turned out to CI 127. There are changes in transfer. So maybe when you have time, try and look at the two and see that.
What would you say is the fundamental appreciation when it comes to CI 127?
Well, to begin
and
with,
the transfer.
to begin with, and as I started the discussion with, I have voted, I have registered, I have transferred my votes, etc. There has never been any time that there have been agents, party agents at transfer stations. No.
Is that not an exigency of the times because of how crucial the election is?
So, because we also saw that exigency, then IPAC decided that, well, let the agents go. But if the agents go and they start to create confusion and violence, and we say that coming events cast their shadows, you people sit down and tell MPP you
When you
kill.
say you people, whom are you referring to?
I'm referring to you people. They know
Which
themselves.
people?
I don't know.
Are
They
you referring
say,
to the media?
I'm saying you people.
Just clarify, are you referring to the media?
They say that you murdered 20 people during the 2020 elections.
I don't know who has
And
said
you
20.
laugh at it.
I don't know who has said
So
20.
EC should sit down and allow people to be murdered before you come and tell them, come in events cast their shadow, so hey, no more agents. Go and sit
I see.
at your homes and observe. In any case, at the end of every transfer, you are giving, if you apply, and that's what the CI says, if you apply, you are giving a copy of the list of transfers.
And that's why some people say it is too late, because sometimes by the time you get some of these copies, there may even be remedial measures. But guess what? On election day, you see the very list that you checkmated. How do you deal with that?
The electoral process isn't done with transfers because there's another layer of activity, which is exhibition. And under exhibition, you can object to the inclusion of certain names on the register.
Right.
So if you are giving the names and you know that Kingsley doesn't live here, but he has transferred his vote to this place, or he hasn't lived here for 1 year, when it's exhibition time, you object to the inclusion of Kingsley's name on the register. It's as simple as that.
I see.
Yeah.
How do you explain, though? Because I have interacted with not just members of the NDC, but from other parties in the IPAC, and you are very conversant with happenings there. And they found it rather curious that, like you say, nowhere does it talk about agents being present, but the exigencies of the time have allowed it. Nowhere does it also say that agents cannot be there. There's a lacuna as far as that is concerned.
Don't go there.
Fine.
I
am going there.
Where the document wants agents to be there, it is clearly stated, like voter registration.
Right. Even if you want to.
So if they haven't stated it, so why do you want to bring them?
If it is not stated, it doesn't necessarily mean it cannot apply, does it?
It is.
There's no specification.
There's no specification.
Exactly. So it could cut across both ways. But
No.
in this instance,
it can't cut across both ways.
The Electoral Commission, deliberating with IPAC, decided you had a consensus that you were going to allow agents. The question then is, how come a few days, in fact, when Monday was going to be a crucial day,
but the signals that were coming,
weekend,
the signals that
which
were
signals?
coming, that's why I'm saying that coming events cast their shadows.
Which signals?
You didn't hear about Howard
Kunson's son of Akko.
You didn't hear about that?
Right. How many such incidents? And you see, you categorically referenced agents.
Even if it's one incident,
I get you.
We should not allow these things. We don't know where it will lead to ultimately.
I agree with you, but in making decisions on these, you must look at the scale of what is happening. You have over 260 of these district centers where registrations are happening. You have about, just if I may land, you have about 3 of them where these happenings took place. And you are arriving at a decision based on 3 out of over 260. And in these instances you are even referencing, it is not agents. It is not the agents of Hanko who actually engaged in this brawl. In fact, the parliamentary candidate for the NDC, Phyllis, who was involved, has been picked up, supposedly involved, has been picked up. So how does this impact the agents? What did the agents do?
I am saying that coming events cast their shadows, and the EC would not like to sit and people to blame them for using the word on them, murderers, using the word killers on them. They will not, because since 1992, there have been series of transfers of votes, no agents. So it's historical. No agent has ever, because if you go back to the various CIs, no room is made for agents on transfers.
I see.
No room at all. Okay, you can ask anybody.
Right.
So this is the first time, and if it's being abused, should they wait for the, in quotes, ABC to happen before they are blamed? No. Let sleeping dogs lie. We want a peaceful country. We want, and you see, some political parties, NDC, they are being confrontational. What would that lead us to?
I was about to get to
what would that lead us to?
The NDC is insisting. But I find it interesting that, you know, everything that the EC says, the MPP practically laps it up. We also had an interaction with Remy Edmondson, National Secretary of the PPP, who says, no, what the EC told us and what we had agreed upon and what the EC is now doing are diametrically opposed. The EC is not being candid in this matter. But I find it interesting that the MPP is always supportive of the EC.
It is absolutely untrue that MPP is supporting the EC. The MPP is building its own election trust, election management, and trust in itself. We are not going to rely on Mrs. Mensah to give us results like some people did in 2016. No.
Is that a subtle jab at the NDC?
I have to jab. I have to jab because that's the reality. That is the reality.
That's a subtle jab at the NDC. Anyway,
you put your. We are building ourselves, our campaign, our party, our organization, and that is what wins an election.
Which brings me to
putting your trust in an EC who cannot be at. You know, currently we are going to this election with 42,000 polling stations.
Right.
And you think somebody can sit in Accra here and be able to command and control the results of all the 42,000 polling stations? No way. We don't believe in that.
I see. So your agents are not going to be at these centers. Your agents are not going to be there. The NDC
for the transfer.
Yes.
I said that yesterday to your.
Right. No, I'm just trying to reaffirm your position.
No, because the EC at yesterday's yesterday's IPAC gave the direction. Okay. That parties.
And as a law-abiding party, you are not going to send your agents.
Of course, we are going to.
Right. Let's delve further into the politics and move away a bit from the EC, but still focus on the elections. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, Vice President, flag bearer of the MPP. Some have said that he has conveniently run away from the economy. and is now Dr. Digital. The last I heard, he was talking about digital jobs that he was going to create for about 1 million youth. We know where the unemployment rate is. I don't want to bore you with the exchange rate, unemployment rate, inflation and all of that, no. But how viable a candidate is he?
He is a very, very strong candidate. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has the vision, the ideas for 2025 onwards to bring Ghana to the next level of our development. So I can assure you that if you say he has run away from economy, digital is part of the economy. If you are creating the number of jobs you are talking about, isn't that part of the economy? And in any case, if you say economy, what do you mean? Because that's a big word. So break it down, because economy, and in these modern economies, you cannot take away digitization from it.
Okay, so let me break it down.
Can run.
Let me break it down to one thing. He famously said, his quote about the exchange rate, if the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. Looking at the exchange rate now, the dollar, the euro hovering around 16, Ghana cedis to these currencies, the pound almost hitting 20, shaving 19 and the rest. Is this administration getting exposed by the foreign exchange market?
It could be worse, but for this administration.
It could have been worse.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, I can tell you that. And this administration has put in place so many mechanisms to slow the pace of the exchange rate depreciation, especially the cedi depreciation. I can tell you why. I'm saying this because it is not only in this country that we are feeling the impact of depreciation of our currency.
Yeah, but we're feeling it much more than other countries in the neighborhood.
That is not true. That is absolutely not true. Let me tell you.
It is not?
If you are not aware.
Actually, I travel quite a bit, so I am aware. When you go to Togo, when you go to Cote d'Ivoire.
If you go to Togo and Cote d'Ivoire, the countries you are mentioning,
right.
I have good friends there, especially in Ivory Coast.
Even Burkina Faso.
And they tell me, all of them, their currency are tied up to the French francs or the euro.
Actually, some of them have disbanded some of these.
And if they haven't, that is also one of the reasons they are trying to get rid themselves from the French economy. A governor of a bank in Ivory Coast or Togo or wherever depends on the French governor.
So that puts them in a better stead than
the currency. They're using their currency. Their currencies. So, but they are telling me that yours is better. That is Ghana. Ours is better because we hold our destiny in our own hands.
I see.
And that they cannot see how France is dictating to them how taxes are sent to them in France, etc. So if you take these countries you are mentioning, what about the other countries? Go to Nigeria, go to Kenya, go to South Africa, go to Mozambique and check their exchange rates if there has been any improvement compared to the Ghana cedi.
I was in Lagos late last year and I can say that at least as of that time, if I compared the cost of living, it was better.
Are you talking about cost of living now? Now you have shift post to cost of living from exchange rate. Thank you. I can assure you that cost of living. But I bring people from, recently I also brought some Nigerians to your station to come and speak.
And they also told you that
well, it's not me, they spoke on your network.
I see. Because even in terms of tourism, I don't know whether you've followed, but people have been interviewed, including Nigerians, in terms of the cost of living in Ghana, being a tourist in Ghana. And trust you me, what they are saying is that Ghana is very expensive. In most of the categories, less than about 15% were saying Ghana 15%. We're saying Ghana was good in terms of cost of living. 60+% in different categories. We're saying Ghana was expensive.
You have shifted the post.
No, I'm talking of cost of living.
Cost of living.
Yes.
But a country cannot get it all right. But recently, on governance, Ghana was way ahead. Ghana was number 5. Governance that you are claiming MPP has spoiled this country. We're number 5 in terms of governance. How about that? And that is reflected also in the performance of the Electoral Commission.
It's interesting because that same bit talks about rule of law and a number of things. And some people were looking at that wondering, okay, is it Ghana they are talking about or some other country?
We said Ghana. Where's my phone?
No, I'm not disputing that it was Ghana, but some people looked at the metrics and wondered whether they were.
Oh, but you said it that a prophet is not
I see.
accepted in his own.
Right. But these are
the good things that we have. We think we have nothing, but go out there and you see. Obana.
I like that. Let's talk about a running mate, and that was the very next thing I was going to bring you to. We're in June. The month of June has started. We're about 6-7 months to the elections. Are we getting a running mate for the MPP anytime soon?
Oh, certainly, MPP will not go into 2024 elections without a running mate. We will go with a running mate. We'll certainly
Don't you think the party is
Dr.
lagging
Bawumia
behind?
Himself was chosen in August.
I do recall. It doesn't mean you have to wait till August. You're trying to break the 8. It's a tough election. You've admitted that.
Yes.
You are facing an economic crisis. Do you have to wait? You should start marketing your running mate by now.
Take it easy.
I see.
MPP, we are good at these things. So I'm not scared at all. I'm not scared. And that's ultimately the name that will be brought to the National Council, which I believe will ultimately be accepted by National Council, will throw more weight into the MPP's campaign.
Is Bawumia choosing his own man or woman?
He is the presidential candidate of the party, and under the MPP constitution, he has to make the choice and bring to National Council.
I did not reference what was in your party constitution. Is he going to
but
choose
who is the
his
who
or her
is the
candidate?
presidential candidate? That's why I want. President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is currently our presidential candidate and leader of the great New Patriotic Party.
So Dr. Bawumia will handpick this person?
Very well.
I see.
Very well. Of course, he has the right to make, and it's the good thing, to make consultations. Yeah, to make consultations. That's the good thing, so that ultimately, when the name lands, bam, on the table of National Council, there won't be any hiccups.
In the next 2 minutes or so, I just have 2 quick questions for you. Recently, I had an interaction with Dr. Arthur Kennedy, Governor Arthur Kennedy, you know him, and he alluded to the fact that it was a big mistake of your parties to let Alan Chamatin go, and that after his withdrawal from the race, you should have brought him into the fold, and that the best situation would have been to have Alan together with Dr. Bawumia or some sort of setup moving into election 2024. Now with his ARC and everything else happening, it appears he's going to claw away votes. That is what Dr. Arthur Kennedy thinks. Do you agree with him or not?
Wishes are not horses. That's his wish. And I think that is up to him. But in this country, I was listening to one of the networks. I don't know whether it was you or somebody was saying, MPP, now their big men have left the party. Hey, all the big men have left the party. So we are going to lose the election. A whole founder of a political party, Mrs. Kwedu Ajima, he left the party. Obeda Samoa, the longest serving attorney general, he left the party. You don't mention those.
Obeda Samoa came back, didn't he?
Hey, hasn't he left the party at that time?
Did he not
during
come back?
The election?
Alan Chamatin left the party and came back, and he's left again.
So leave it hanging. If you admit that people could leave and come, then
Right.
let it hang.
My final bit to you is the MPP winning election 2024. Are you going to break the 8? How will you do it?
Oh, election is a process, and as we have discussed so far, we are doing pretty well. I also have my own polls.
What did they say?
My polls?
Yeah, the last time I interacted with the chairman of the NDC, Johnson Esidu Nketia, he said as of, this was what, a week and a half or so ago, that as of that day, it was a Thursday, if Ghanaians went to the polls, the NDC would get nothing less than 52%. What is your poll?
I can assure you that the NDC has deployed all its arsenal. We are still in the process.
Of deploying your arsenal?
Huh?
Of deploying your arsenal?
Yes.
I see.
So every now and then, more people come on board.
Okay.
Since Dr. Bawumia started his tour into the regions, the amount of interest that it has generated, and I can imagine when the vice president is also named, because we haven't named now. That's why I say they have deployed all the arsenals, and they elected John Mahama how many years ago? So they have reached their apogee. So now they are sliding down. But for us and for me in elections, you peak till the D-Day. If you go up or you start backsliding, coming down, then it means it's no good for you.
So is that the MPP?
Because
is that your strategy? Is that your strategy?
Of course, and that's the right strategy for elections. That is the right. You pick and pick to the D-Day.
So it's not because you're afraid that whomever you pick would be pick would be lampooned by
no. But I'm saying, if I say Nketia is now saying 52%, then it means they have started coming down, because they have said 60% before. And they came to 56.
Peter McMahon, what is your poll? What is your poll revealing?
We don't disclose our polls to the public, no.
I see.
At the right time. But in 2016,
whenever the MPP has had
in 2016,
you have been able to put it out there. You have said that you're winning with these margins and all of that. Why are you not saying it now?
Polls. Did you hear from it? I did 3 polls in 2016. In 2020, I did polls. Did you hear from it?
I see.
We use it to, as it were, guide our campaign.
I see.
So places that we are weak, things that we need to do, assurances that we need to do, reconciliation efforts that need to be beefed up, etc. So if I see Nketia is saying 52% now, then they are getting down, they are going down. I'm telling you.
Peter McMahon, it's been interesting
having a conversation. I want us to continue.
Next time we meet, we're going to delve into cocoa board and other related matters. But thank you so much for engaging us this afternoon. And that has been our conversation on AM Exclusive with Peter McMahon. He's been a chairman of the New Patriotic Party, 2005 to 2010. In 2016, he was campaign manager for the presidential and parliamentary elections of the MPP. He currently is board chair of Cocoa Board. And hopefully we'll have another opportunity, another slice of the cake with him to delve into cocoa-related matters. My name is Benjamin Akakpo. Thank you for watching.